people who always want to get their big jobs right away, don't undermine the small jobs. Because those are the building blocks that will gain you the knowledge,
the teaching
experience.
moments. Yeah.
There's so many things other than just the craft itself that you will learn by actually being in a scenario where you have to work with other professionals that will help you grow in many ways and make you more hireable.
That's those soft skills.
Yeah.
Knowing how to communicate.
Exactly. How to work with others. And sometimes people forget that when you're working on big projects, you're working on your personal project. So there's going to be many moments when you're asked to do things that you personally do not agree with. But you have to remember that you're not doing this for you. Sometimes you're making other people's movies. You're helping tell somebody else's vision. So you have to understand that you're being hired to bring your expertise to help tell this other story. And hopefully your expertise takes that story to a whole new level in a way that you would appreciate your contribution as well.
Yeah, that weeds out a lot of people too. It gets a lot of those people out of there that have like those egos or those chips on their shoulders. Yeah. And they'll end up quitting prematurely from a position or a job, and then they'll go somewhere and they may not see it, but they've already derailed their career path in a certain way because it's crazy. That is very true.
So that first job was just doing facial animation cleanup, pretty much. We'd get like
and mocap. It looks like
was
that your first time touching mocap?
First time ever.
That's a different beast.
Do like face capture.
Yeah,
and lots of noise because that's never perfect.
Yeah.
And then we'd come in and we'd clean it. Luckily, we had the live action reference of the actors.
That's good.
Sometimes the data wasn't captured at all, so you had to keyframe it. But it's funny because watching those faces so up close for hundreds of shots. Of course, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm learning the subtleties and the beauty of it because I'm cleaning up the mocap. I'm seeing the curve that made that. Like I mentioned, I like the graph editor. So like just seeing the final curve that was created by that complex motion. Just little things that you don't realize how much your brain remembers, but it's storing all that knowledge. And I made some great friends. I used to work with Ben Anderson and Will Stafang. And Roy, I can't remember pronounce his last name. It's like TSE. He's still one of the leads at Visual Concepts because like the studio that hired me was Visual Concepts. And I made good friendships with them as I worked. And then after I graduated, those connections I'd made, that relationship I'd built. So the work I did for them, they liked. But more than that, I was also nice to be around. They hired me after I graduated.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good.
So that was my first job after graduating. I was a resident assistant during college. That one, Cinematic Animator, Visual Concepts, right above that.
Right above this one?
Yeah. Nice. So that was my first job. So I graduated May, like 29th, whatever.
Oh, right. I see NBA 2K. So this was, they were still working on the 2K line.
Yeah. So I worked on NBA 2K15 during my internship. And then after I graduated, that same team hired me back. But this time I wasn't just doing facial capture. I was part of the main team in the main cubicle with the big guys.
Working on gameplay animation, working on cinematic stuff.
I was working on cinematic stuff.
Okay.
So, which is the stuff I prefer. I like more storytelling stuff. That's just like my inclination. And guess what? Spike Lee was directing that storyboard.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They had to be like a nice jaw-dropping moment.
So
you're
it's like,
what?
Yeah, got to meet Spike Lee, got to meet Shaquille O'Neal. It was a great studio to be at.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So, and again, when I was there, Ben Anderson was there. And like, of course, like it's motion capture. So like a lot of the performance that they need for the game and for the cinematics and the gameplay, sometimes I had to clean up a few gameplay things, are captured from live actors. Because in the process, the director, whoever was working in the game director, the cinematic director, Spike Lee, they wanted these specific performances. So they capture people who can give you the performance you need. Then we'd have to go clean them up. Typical motion capture pipeline.
Is that your, if you had to gauge it, are you more of a mocap cleanup artist for animation as opposed to like hand key stuff?
At that
or
time?
Is it, at that time for what you're doing?
At that time, yes.
So you're more mocap?
At that time, it was just mocap. Mocap cleanup.
Okay.
So again, I always wanted to do keyframe work, not because I have anything against mocap, but I felt like, and this is my personal opinion, I felt that with mocap, it has its benefits because we can get a lot more done production-wise, faster. Like, you can't create a game as sophisticated as NBA without mocap.
Without it.
Unless you hire hundreds of animators and take forever.
It'd be like Street or the SSX type stuff, where it's if it was hand keyed, it'd be way more cartoony-esque, but very
of course,
flavor.
Industry demands they want the game to be more sophisticated.
Yeah.
They want
realism.
The blends to blend in every direction. So because of customer demand, you have to understand why these decisions are being made. So people who are like, mocap's evil, it's like, you wouldn't get the game you love if we didn't use the processes we used today.
Mocap has a place.
Exactly.
I think we all in the industry at some point as animators have been like, mocap's bad, mocap's this, mocap.
Just because
but it has a place.
Exactly. Just because I think at that time I'd describe myself as naive sometimes. Like, you just don't understand or have the information.
That's a part of growth in this experience with this title of animator. Like, because I think the very first thing when animators are hearing about or having to use mocap, you're like, man, this is going to replace us. This is going to take our jobs. When it doesn't, you still need a technician or someone with that type of mindset to understand and polish mocap. But in the beginning, you're like, oh man, we're gonna be out of work, and you're in school like, man, this mocap, these movies look amazing. How are we gonna have work? But you're still needed.
A great mentor of mine once said that when he was teaching, he once got into trouble because his workmates were like, hey, you can't be teaching these guys all these secrets. They're gonna come take our jobs. And he's like, no, they can't take your job. Because if you told two people to go animate a jump, he can guarantee you that if they came back and showed you the jump, there's no way there'd ever be the same jump. Because who we are affects what we do.
That's
my life,
personality.
My experience, my knowledge, what I've gone through is completely different from what you've gone through. What the choices I make define me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And no two people, no matter how much skill-wise, expertise-wise, we have the exact same knowledge, we're completely two different people. So we need to start to learn that, be yourself. Understand that, hey, maybe you're not that animator who did that thing, but you're your animator who does your thing.